This one mindset shift could completely change your life in 30 days. Let's get into it. So, the one mindset shift is whatever the thing is that you want, the $1 million, the weight loss, the health, whatever the thing is, any situation that you are in, asking yourself if that thing would make that situation or that moment better. Now, the reason this is really interesting is because I've been practicing this for myself for a few weeks now, because as a therapist, as a business coach, I always try the things that I'm recommending to clients before I recommend it to them. I really want to make sure that there's some validity to it and it works, and and I know other people who try different things, so I like to try it for myself. One of the activities I've been doing is asking myself in situations and scenarios, is the thing that I want going to make this scenario better? So for example, on the weekend, I took my boys to the beach. It was really good, really fun. And in that scenario, $1 million wouldn't have made it any better. We really were just enjoying the beach together and having fun. There's another scenario where I look and feel healthier. Maybe I'd lost some weight. And so that part actually would change that scenario, in that there were a couple of moments where I felt a little bit self-conscious, maybe got a bit nervous when people were around because I wasn't confident in my appearance, because it's been a while since I was at the beach by myself with my kids in my bathing suit, so I'm not in a flattering situation. And so it's interesting because sometimes we might think that money might make the situation better, or if I look better or I, feel better, it's going to make every aspect of my life better, when actually it won't. And what I have found from asking these questions is actually some scenarios it does make it better. Some scenarios it doesn't. It's kind of neutral. It's not going to make it better or worse. But surprisingly, there are some scenarios that it would be worse. So again, for example, when I was going through a hard time, so same scenario as having a great time at the beach with my boys, but just as we were leaving, we were all sort of, when you go into the water and you wash off any sand in the waves before you leave, so you're still sandy on your feet, but generally you're clear of sand and everything everywhere else. So once you get to your car or whatever, you just have to dust off your feet. So we were just heading off, and then my eldest tackled my youngest and was just being a bit rough with him and completely covered both of them head to toe in sand. Now, I was a bit tired, it was getting a bit hot, and it was just a frustrating situation to deal with. Like, you're ready to leave, you're ready to go, and then that happens. So admittedly, I was frustrated, right? And so we had to go back and put everything down, pull the stuff back down, go back into the ocean and wash everything off again. And by this time, carrying my youngest, my arms are hurting. It's all happening. And in that scenario, for me, money wouldn't make that situation better. Looking better isn't going to make that situation better. And if you think of other scenarios, having an ideal partner, yes, no, might make the situation better, but there's a lot of things that aren't going to make that situation better. So it's a really interesting activity to try in a lot of different ways. So there's that scenario at the beach. And then there's another scenario where my son was giving me a hug on the couch. And again, it was just a really nice moment. One of my kids is really affectionate and the other one naturally just isn't that affectionate. So the one that's not that affectionate just came up and gave me a hug and a kiss out of nowhere, and it was really refreshing. And I asked myself again in that moment, if I had the money that I wanted, or if I looked the way that I wanted, or was healthy the way that I wanted, would that change that situation. So we talked about a negative situation not changing at the beach, but would a positive situation be any better? And it wouldn't. And if, in fact, I actually asked myself, I actually thought to myself, if I did have millions and millions of dollars in my bank account, I don't think I would be doing the things for my kids that actually helped me bond with them and probably led to him coming up to me, giving me a hug unprompted, giving me a kiss unprompted. Because if I had a nanny, for example, who was doing all the nappy changes and the bath time and the bedtime and getting up in the middle of the night, for example, if I had outsourced all of those things, I don't think I would have the bond that I have with my kid. Now, here's not to say if you outsource those things, if you have a nanny doing those things, that you don't have that bond. Absolutely, you can have the bond in so many different ways. But in that scenario, for me, I definitely felt like he sees me doing those things, he appreciates it, and I'm very conscious of not having my phone around them. Again, there's lots of factors that lead into that. But it's really interesting to, anytime you're in a negative scenario or a positive scenario, really asking yourself, is the thing that I'm chasing, whether it's more clients, more money, a better body, younger face, younger complexion, a lot of the things that people are putting on their to-do list at the start of the year, right? Or the wants, the New Year's resolutions, would that really help in that scenario? And the great thing about this exercise is what I'm finding it does is it really helps you get extremely clear on what are the scenarios that money does help with? What are the scenarios that, feeling good, looking good, being healthy actually helps with? And what are the scenarios that actually wouldn't even be happening if you had everything that you wanted maybe a year ago or 2 years ago? If you had all the clients you wanted a year ago, what things might you be missing out on now? If you had all the money a year ago, what things might you be missing out on now? It's such an interesting activity. And by the end of 30 days, you will get clear on what are the areas of your life that you're actually struggling with that money might help, or your physical appearance might help, and all of those things, whatever it is. It's just, it takes the pressure off, because so many of the scenarios we get ourselves in, we start to fall into a victim mentality of, if only I had this, or if only I had this, or if this was different. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes there are certain scenarios where it would be ideal to have the things that you want, the money, the perfect teeth, whatever that is. But a lot of the time you don't. But it can be easy to trick yourself into thinking that and feeling inadequate, or blaming the situation on, my life sucks because of this, or if only this was here, I'd be different. And actually, that's not the case. I had the most joyful experience just being with my kids that couldn't have changed if money was involved or not. Again, but the frustrating scenario with my kids really couldn't have changed if I had money or not, for me. For some people, it might have. They might have gone, oh, well, I would have had this person or whatever. But even still, it's still a frustrating situation all round. And, it's interesting when you see it that way, because I know Keira Knightley, for example, actress, has all the resources you could possibly imagine in the world. She has nanny, she has money, she has fame, she has all the things. And she still talks about parenting being extremely hard. So it's really interesting how a lot of the time we can feel like my relationship sucks because we both work so much. If we had money, we wouldn't be in this situation. When actually it's like, are you communicating? Have you spoken about your sex life? Perhaps those are the things that you could do right now for free, right? Because even if you had more time with each other, is that going to improve your sex life or your relationship? It's interesting. It's interesting question to really ask yourself, because then again, you don't know until you're sort of going through your day-to-day scenarios, day-to-day situations, and getting deep on this question. So my challenge to you for the next 30 days, anytime you're feeling really, really grateful about something, so positive, or anytime you maybe are feeling a bit stuck, a bit agitated, a bit frustrated, really being honest with yourself and going, is the thing that I'm chasing, if I had that right now in this scenario, would it actually help me? And see what comes out of that. See what insights, what growth, what shifts come out of that for you from doing this exercise for 30 days. And I'd love to hear from you, whether you drop it in the comments or you come find me on Instagram and send me a message. Let me know how you go after a week, after 2 weeks, after 4 weeks, if any epiphanies have happened for you, because certainly I find that this seems really simple, and I get it. We all know that message of the best things in life are free. But when you're living in your day to day, asking this question of yourself, reflecting on it, you'll be surprised what epiphanies and insights you're actually going to have. So let me know what yours are. I'd love to hear from you. And I will see you in the next episode of the 4Q podcast. Bye for now.